gonna shift back to retail, and I'm excited about how we can how we can support eaters who are looking to build healthier, more regenerative food systems. And to do that, I get to sit down with Jason Bikel, the CEO of Whole Foods. Please, I welcome him to the stage.
Thanks, Danny.
Nice to see you.
So excited to be here. I do have a disclaimer. I do not have a film to premiere here. So,
I know.
So unfortunately, I
You
think
didn't get it done in time.
I did not get it done in time. I think my last acting credit was in 4th grade. So
Me too.
I'm a little dated.
You have some good slides, though.
Yes. There we go.
So you feature in your stores one of my favorite companies because it's from one of my favorite people. It's Row 7 by Dan Barber. I grow his seeds in my own rooftop gardens, right? And I'm wondering how Whole Foods has been telling the story of Row 7 because it's a great story. It's not the story of just a chef who works with seed breeders, but it's the story of more deliciousness in our food supply.
Yeah, absolutely. How many folks are familiar with Row 7 in the audience? Okay, we've got a lot of Dan Barber fans probably. Well, I am as well. It's actually one of the most exciting products that we carry in the store from my perspective. It's outstanding produce. The Midnight Roma tomatoes are a personal favorite, and the garlic. I highly recommend them if you're making bruschetta. Both are great staple ingredients. But one of the things that I love around the movement of what Dan is looking to do is he's trying to solve several challenges that we have out there. So he's trying to get a situation where we can eat healthier, have more delicious food, and at the same time do things better for the soil and better for the farmers. And his ability to help bring back heirloom varietals of products that haven't been grown in this country in decades and decades is just remarkable. And what I get excited about is they don't want to be in a space where this is proprietarily about them.
Right.
And so many cases, that's the situation we have within sort of the seed industry overall. And so whether you are a customer who wants to buy a product that we can sell directly to you at Whole Foods Market, or you want to grow those products yourself, for me, that's a huge win-win situation.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love about the partnership is ways by which we've been able to bring education to customers and experience the product. So they've worked hand in hand with us in being able to do what we would call demos within our stores. Ultimately, it's not just about how does the product look, but we want customers tasting and realizing the difference of each of these products. And in some cases, they're products that customers haven't heard before. I mentioned garlic just a minute ago. Like, how do you explain to a customer how you're going to use this product? You know, it's kind of a leek, it's kind of garlic, but for us, it's like actually making product in the stores and having customers try it in our produce departments. And so that's been a big part of having customers understand not only the benefits of all these products across all the different areas I was mentioning, but just realizing how great it can taste. And if we can have great tasting product that is the most delicious bite that you've just had, and it's been great for the soil, it's been great for the farmer, and it's great for the environment. Like, for me, those are the win-win-wins we're seeking out.
Yeah, and it's more than just sampling. It's that education that Brandon talked about at Sprouts, too. It's that consumer education right there.
Exactly. And what's been great in this partnership is we're doing it both with our team members as well as Row 7 has a team as well that's helping educate directly in our stores as we're doing the demo process. And what's exciting about it as well is customers have an interest. Like, you can, like, when they, oh, this tastes great, but then you tell them the story behind it, they're getting excited and they're telling other folks. And so for us, this has just been a wonderful partnership. And I'd say the biggest problem we have is being able to, meet all the demand that we've been able to bring forward with this product.
I had to get my beet seeds early from Row 7 because they always sell out. So I understand. It's
one of those things where I say it's a good problem to have and one that we'll continue to solve to make sure that we can meet future needs. And what's also great is there's so much innovation in working in this pipeline as well. I can't share all the things that we're working on in this space, but like ultimately looking at how we can serve other areas in this partnership and finding those win-win-wins in tasty, delicious, nutritious product that is great for farmers, great for the soil, and great for the broader environment.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about someone else you work with, and that's Jeff Frank at Organic Valley. And I had the chance to talk to him during Climate Week, and he was telling me about how the farmers who are working in the cooperative are seeing the impacts of the climate crisis every day. And I said that earlier today, like, it's not something far off. It's something we're seeing every day. And I wonder what the farmers you're talking to are seeing.
Yeah, Jeff and his team are just really close partners of ours and have been for decades. And I also have a close personal connection in this space. So both of my grandparents were dairy farmers. My dad was a cheesemaker. My dad actually worked at a factory that made Organic Valley string cheese. So a really close connection there, and have quite a few family members that are still involved in farming. And so my opportunity in connecting with them, like over the holidays when you get feedback, but also in visiting so many of our suppliers' farms, this is a real challenge. And we have it across the entire country, and whether this is, challenges of the fires that you spoke to earlier, to issues that we're seeing in droughts and floods, the hurricanes that Brandon was mentioning earlier, these are all challenges that are showing up across every single day, things that are disrupting our food systems. And when we, especially talk to dairy farmers at this point, this is a really rough situation. And I think one of the things that's really problematic here is it's obviously being a farmer is not easy to begin with, but just one weather event alone could ultimately actually just kind of run out an entire crop in business for that particular year.
Right.
And this is an area where, as generations are looking to pass on farms to the next generation, they're questioning, like, is this worth it?
Right.
Because of the volatility that we're seeing. And climate events are just like one impact in there. There's many other factors. But the disruption that takes place here, not only is it causing problems for farmers, but it leads to challenges then into the supply chain. And as we talk with Organic Valley, and that's, a particular area, especially if we look at some of the organic parts of dairy over the holiday period, like we had short commodities because the supply was really, really pinched. So the customer gets disappointed. The farmer ultimately doesn't have the supply, and so that's eating into their margins and their business performance. And obviously there's customer disappointments. And so I think one of the things that we have to do is help bring some of these things to broader awareness in customers understanding, like, why wasn't that product on the shelf?
Right.
What are the challenges that are out there? Why wasn't the quality of berries this particular season as good as it was the year before? Why didn't we have cherries as long this year as we did the year before? In so many cases, it's tying back to what we're seeing on climate impacts.
Yeah, and all during the pandemic, we heard about brittle food chains and brittle supply chains. And it seems like we've forgotten about it, or consumers have, right? They don't understand that the climate crisis is also making our food systems brittle. How do we educate them in store to understand that the climate crisis impacts their food system every day?
Yeah, I think one thing that we have within this country that makes it tough is when we have a challenge, especially domestically in sourcing something, and whether that be, berries, leafy greens, some of the things that are more fragile within our food system, we still are able to source products. We go to other countries, we figure it out. And so customers don't feel the pain as much as actually is felt by farmers within our supply chain within this country. And so I think one of the things that we have to do a better job is telling that story and explaining what is actually happening behind the scenes. And I think that awareness is going to hopefully make folks vote with their wallets, help make decisions around what can we do to help prevent some of these things, reverse some of the challenges that actually are taking place. And I also think the other piece of this is we will hit certain points where we're not able to source. As we're seeing, I give berries as a great example, some of the challenges that took place in Brazil last year with the flooding. Like, we were at pinch points, and obviously we, some customers, didn't see the products that they know and love on product shelves. They saw higher prices. There's areas where we're going to see that across more and more items within our grocery stores.
Yeah. One thing that I think about a lot is that as we're trying to shift maybe consumers to seasonality or trying different kinds of food, as Brandon mentioned before, is that when we talk about this, consumers feel like they're being deprived of something rather than they're gaining something. If they're eating in a more resilient, climate-friendly way, they think they're going to lose things. How can we encourage them that they will get more?
Yeah, well, I think what we need to do is be able to tell and explain and educate customers. And a lot of this is going to have to come through storytelling. And how do we find those win-win-wins?
Yeah.
And one of the ways that we've been doing it at Whole Foods Market is through a program we call Source for Good. And this is an opportunity for us to be able to highlight products which ultimately are good for the environment and the climate. They're good for the workers who are helping either grow and produce those products. And they're good for the community that these products are being grown in. And one of the things that's great about this is there's so many supplier examples that we can bring that you can talk about the difference that's actually happening in those local communities. And for me, being able to go and be part of some of those visits. If you take Earth University, which happens to be one of our top suppliers for bananas as an example, the work that we've been able to do in helping improve the working conditions of those who are actually helping grow and produce those products, inclusive of bananas, but ultimately the work that we can do at the same time in being able to bring better benefits for them, the broader community, and helping take care of the environment and the climate of where these products are growing. And being able to share those stories helps influence customers to make the decisions of what they're going to buy. And so our hope is to extend this opportunity. We started this program within produce. We have it in areas like floral. Last year, we brought it into coffee. We want to extend it into more and more categories within our stores so customers can both have the assurance of what those products are doing at a higher standard, and at the same time bringing along the educational materials. And some of that will be storytelling that we do directly in stores through some of our digital displays, through packaging, but ultimately helping connect those customers to the supplier itself for them to be able to tell their stories.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned Earth University. I am so old that I was able to go there in the early 2000s, not long after they started. They just sent me some coffee. It's such a great program of teaching agro entrepreneurs across the world to do exciting stuff. So thank you for working with them.
And I just have to say, if anybody ever has any doubt around the future and looking at the next generation who wants to solve problems within our food systems and the climate, go take a visit there. It is one of the most inspiring visits. You have students truly from around the world who their passion is figuring out how do they solve the local food system problems and climate challenges within their home country. It's just so inspiring, and just for me gives me confidence in the work that we need to do, and that we've got leaders that are actually figuring out how to solve these problems.
And not only do those students become business leaders, they can become ministers of agriculture, ministers of health, that, they get into politics. It's very exciting. I'm off message. I'm sorry.
Yes. Good.
So, I want to talk about Gen Z and Gen Alpha. Kim Severson of the New York Times is always telling me that they have a big BS detector. They don't want just a happy cow on the front of their milk carton. They want the truth and the origin and the story behind what they're eating. How can we help younger eaters sort of, have trust and confidence and transparency in what they're eating?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that we as retailers, we as CPG companies, we as storytellers within this audience have to figure out how do we sort of find the best ways in connecting with this generation and help harness the influence that they're going to have in supporting a lot of the changes that we all support. You mentioned a little bit earlier their BS meter. I mean, that's absolutely the case. One of the things that I get excited about is what this generation says they're going to do and what they actually do. The say-do gap is actually closer here. I think one challenge we have to think about is we study this customer and look at it, they're in a situation where a lot of their purchases or their lifestyle is subsidized. So they may still be living at home or mom and dad might be giving them an allowance. So we have to see what happens in 5 or 10 years when they may not have some of those same subsidies. But what I get excited about is they truly are making buying decisions based upon what they're passionate about. And one of the challenges I think that we've seen in connecting with this generation is the attention span is this big, and they don't want the long form storytelling. They don't want to see a video that's beyond 30 seconds at max. And so what we have to do is be able to make sure that we can bring those most important attributes and those discussion points in a way that's super easy to consume on their terms.
Yeah.
And we also have to counteract, in some cases, some of the storylines that go out there that at the end of the day aren't true, and figuring out how do we connect with that generation as well so they realize that actually those things aren't the case. And really, this is what we should be looking at if we really want to have a positive impact on our food system.
Yeah, thank you for that. I want to turn now to the issue of food waste, because I know that's an important issue for you. About 1/3 of the food produced in the world goes to waste. And I'm wondering if you can talk about ways that retailers are trying to address this, and especially, obviously, at Whole Foods.
Yeah. Well, this for me is like a personal passion product. And in even some of the research that we've done, we've seen that number even a little bit higher as far as where we see some of the food waste. And when you throw in some of the climate challenges that take place, the amount of product that goes 100% to waste is actually gut-wrenching. And especially when we look at not just the environmental impact this has. When we look at CO2 emissions, a lot of times, and methane gases, folks don't realize how much our food waste is tying in there. Most times when you hear about methane gases, you think about cows are the problem.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's actually rotting food in our landfills that's a bigger contributor to methane gases. And so this is an opportunity, I think, for us as stakeholders across the entire food system to figure out how do we make sure we have far less waste. So not only do we not have the environmental impact, but when we look at the number of people in this country and in this world who are food insecure, how do we make sure we can help solve that problem at the same time? And so for us, it's basically a process that we are looking at. How do we tackle this issue on all fronts? And the first one is actually partnering with our suppliers to make sure that we are lining up supply and demand. We're ultimately not overproducing. We're not over-ordering. Let's start solving the problem and making sure we're not creating one at the very beginning of the supply chain. The second piece is how do we make these products available for human consumption? And I mentioned earlier, especially on the food insecure side of things. And there's a couple ways that we solve it. One of the ways that we do it that helps support the business is finding ways for these products to still be purchased by customers. And so we've got a number of different programs that we've put into place. We've got one called Enjoy Today, where the products are 50% off, still great products, but a great price point for customers. We've got a partnership with a company called Too Good To Go, where we've been able to divert over 1 million pounds of food just over this past year going into landfills. That number will significantly increase. And what's great here is in many cases, these are customers who might not be shopping our store today, but they get exposed to Whole Foods Market, and we can give a great value for high quality, natural and organic products.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that we look through is how we can make food donations. And so we have a network across every single metro and store that we operate in, and making sure that product we can't sell ultimately can get donated for human consumption.
Yeah.
And there's some cases where that's not possible. And so then we work through what are the other ways to make sure this doesn't end up in a landfill. And so it's supporting composting in all of our stores. Ultimately, we also work with a number of suppliers where we're able to make this food available for animal feed. And so this is where we have an opportunity directly to take that product and make sure that it's still being utilized and not ending up in a landfill.
Right, where it, again, contributes to greenhouse gas emissions. I was talking to Brandon, he talked about, making Sprouts, good working places where people want to work, where they feel comfortable working, where they're making better than a living wage. And I think part of that is having, workers in retail be part of the process of educating consumers, that themselves learning about where food is coming from, what the effects of it are. How does Whole Foods do that?
Yeah, we have a number of ways. One of the things that I'm really proud of is the connection that our team members have to our higher purpose of nourishing people and the planet, and the connection they have to our core values and ultimately our quality standards. And our quality standards are one of the top differentiators for Whole Foods Market. I always tell folks it's actually the products and the items that we don't sell is what differentiates us. It's over the 550 banned ingredients that you're not going to be able to find on our shelves. And our team members have a connection to this, not only in the health of serving our customers, but knowing at the same time our quality standards are helping our other stakeholders like the environment as well. And so this is part of our orientation process. We have something we call our Culture Champions program. And so it's actually an educational program and certification that our team members can get. And there's aspects of this that tie into the work that we do around our purpose and our core values and our quality standards. And so there's actually a passion and deep connection that our team members have. I was actually at our Park City store earlier today and spent just over an hour there with our team. And the passion that our team members have around the products we sell and being able to serve our customers is just heartwarming. One of the other things that we've been rolling out is something we call apprentice programs. And so for each team within our store, we're looking to develop a way for team members to be able to take additional educational programs and be certified. And this is going to allow them to not only serve customers better, but it's a great opportunity for them to get promoted, take on additional responsibilities. One of the programs that we rolled out this past year was within our produce team. And when you talk about some of the stuff we kicked off the conversation with, it's talking about the differentiation of what Row 7 offers, talking about the differentiation around the produce we sell at Whole Foods Market. Things like our pollinator policy, which is something that we require of all of our suppliers within that space to be able to serve. And so this is where ultimately I think if we can create an engaging experience for our team members where they are learning and growing and have advancement opportunities, at the same time when they do those, they serve our customers better. They're able to do the storytelling. There's an authentic connection to what we're selling because they're actually passionate about the work that we're doing around our purpose of nourishing people on the planet.
It's great to have that. You want those people as involved as possible. 30-second call to action.
Yeah, so we have so many stakeholders in this room here, and ultimately, I think one of the things the theme I've heard about today is around the storytelling. And what we need to figure out is how do we take all the nuggets that we've been talking about today and get it in ways that customers, consumers are going to be able to understand the problem and be able to activate them. We need to be able to have a film or some movement that is popular as Wicked, where folks are excited about seeing it, hearing it, and ultimately want to join the force for change on this side. And, you know, for me, this is something that is near and dear to our heart. Our goal as Whole Foods Market is having a ripple effect. For us, the quality standards, just like Row 7 with their seeds, they're non-proprietary. We want other folks to copy us. We constantly challenge our competitors. We ask our suppliers who don't work with us, join in. Our job here is ultimately to help protect our food systems and, as I mentioned, nourish people on the planet, and would love to have this stakeholder group figure out how do we tell the stories and help build the case for why we need to do so. So thank you so much for having me here.
Big round of applause for Jason. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to invite one of my very favorite people, Chef Eric Gephardt, to the stage. He's the Director of Culinary Inspiration for Kamado Joe. You want to tell me about this?
Yes, so team, you've got an amazing power-packed lunch ahead of you, okay? I've got 5 incredible chefs from all across the U.S. You've got Michelin star chefs, you've got JBL chefs, you've got live fire chefs, but all these proteins are purpose-driven proteins. This is a fish that was swimming in the Arctic Circle 3 days ago, okay? Quarry Arctic salmon, unbelievable. We're cooking everything over live fire, so we're scratching that primal itch with you today, all right? A lot of flambe, a lot of whiskey, a lot of fun, but say hello to these chefs as you go through, because we've been out there since 8:30 in the morning. It's cold out there, team. All right? This is beautiful. There's a West African pole-caught tuna from an all-African female-owned fleet. All right, that's going to be a tuna slider. There's a invasive catfish we're pulling out of the Chesapeake Bay that now takes up 80% of the biomass. So we're trying to fish it out. Right, the opposite of sustainable. We're trying to get it out of there. There's a lot of really cool proteins. There's a gumbo. There's amazing stuff. Folio, like. Learn about it, eat it, enjoy it, and thanks for being here. Thanks for all you do. Cheers, team.
Thanks, you, Chef.